Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs. My wife and I own Six Sided Discs together, and we are primarily a YouTube channel where we test, compare, and explore discs and lots more from all across the world of disc golf. But we're also an online retail store. We're also a traveling pop-up shop. And in 2025, we traveled over 8,500 miles, set up our pop-up shop for 39 days, bought and sold thousands of discs, and gave away over 550 Velcro patches to our subscribers at different events across the country. So come along with us and see what a year in the life of a small disc golf business is really like. Our year kicked off in early January with one of our most popular videos of the year, building the perfect disc golf bag. A video that's still racking up views today, as it covers the basics of building a bag for beginners. First, let's talk about why you even need room for this many discs. On an average disc golf course, you need discs that can handle a shot from 4 feet away to over 400 feet away. We couldn't enjoy the success of that video for long though, because if you don't already know, we post a new video every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. So the next 4 weeks had 4 more videos for January, including the return of our podcast, All Six Sides. Do I know it's not like a Cayman? I guess I'll guess Cayman. I could be way off on that. A fun game guessing disc flight numbers. And right out of the gate, you just kind of have to throw a guess out there. So I just like to go with buzz, somewhere in the middle on speed. Wow. Testing some new discs from Finish Line and Birdie Disc Golf Supply. The Rise then is probably like a beat-in Buzz OS. It's overstable, but workable. And exploring a new brand from Denmark called Supersonic Discs, including a quote-unquote mid-range, 2 fairway drivers, and a distance driver. Supersonic's primary focus is on making the game more accessible to more players. But the big highlight from January was our first trip to the Disc Golf Expo, Disc East, or the Disc Golf Industry Supplier Conference Expo in Boxborough, Massachusetts. In fact, we began February by posting a vlog from our 1,400-mile round trip to Massachusetts all about the expo. We got to meet a bunch of fans, fellow disc golf businesses, content creators, and some of the top pros in the sport. Oh, thank you so much. What's your name?
Mike.
Greg.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. You're subscribed, right?
Yep, yeah.
We brought some Velcro patches for you. We also got our hands on tons of cool discs that we took home and immediately started making content about, including a video all about the future of discraft, because the future now looks less and less like Paul and Paige and more like this. A test of the Mint Disc Salamander. Rated at 6.6, -2.1, the Salamander is a new finesse fairway driver from Mint Discs, and it's likely to become a fan favorite, much like the Lobster before it, for appealing to lower speed throwers, and exploring Clash Discs' Planty bioplastic for the first time. Polylactic acid, also known as PLA, is made from the sugars in cornstarch, cassava, and sugarcane. But there's another type of bioplastic called PHA, or polyhydroxyalkanoate, which is made by microorganisms that produce plastics from organic materials. We also did one of our wackiest tests we've ever done in late February, where we took 40 discs, stuck them in a deep freezer, and then threw them at a wall. Every winter, people post videos of their discs breaking in the cold, but it's a lot harder to break them than we expected. Out of over 40 different plastics, excluding rubber, only one broke. We certainly did some damage to other discs, and I'm going to point that out along the way, but I definitely expected more discs to break, especially considering all the pictures I got of broken discs. The Disc Golf Pro Tour season kicked off in late February as well, with the first event of the year, the Supreme Flight Open, taking place in Brooksville, Florida. And while we didn't make it to Florida, we did visit 4 Disc Golf Pro Tour events later in the season. With Ohio still thoroughly chilled with winter weather, our local disc golf season was still a month or more away, so we happily set off for Allen, Texas, a suburb of Dallas, for the second Disc Golf Expo, Disc South. With the professional players away at Pro Tour events in Florida and Waco, Texas, Disc South was more of a content creator-focused event, with appearances by Foundation Disc Golf, Brody Smith, Bodanza, Jay Milley, and many more. Back home from the expo, we tested a brand new company, Meridian Discs, which had some really cool plastic. It can fly nice and straight-ish, like this. At low power, it should show minimal fade, but if you throw a little harder, it wants to drift before a slight fade back. We also explored a 35-year-old mid-range, the Innova Scorpion, which is as much a driver as it is a mid-range. Mid-ranges come in many shapes and sizes, but this is not what I think of when I think mid-range. But it's also not what I think of when I think fairway driver or distance driver either. We also had a somewhat long-awaited closer look at Gateway Disc Sports, a company we've known about for a long time, but failed to do a specific video on for no obvious reason. Gateway Disc Sports was founded in 1994 and began molding discs in 1999 with the release of the Sabre, a disc we'll be testing out today. We kicked off April with a bang with one of our most popular Flight Numbers Don't Matter videos of the year by asking the question, which speed flies the farthest? We had 4 players of very different skill levels throw 13 discs from Discraft, one for every speed of disc, with the goal of finding out at what speed we would find our best distance, and how that might vary from player to player. His distance is peaking in the fairway drivers rather than distance drivers, which is a bit surprising. So where do all these numbers leave us? Well, looking at these charts side by side, I have a lot of different thoughts. The first half of Josh's chart, my backhand, and Caleb's charts are all pretty similar, a steady increase for almost every disc. And the second half of Emily's, Caleb's chart, and mine also look similar, with big distance for the faster fairways and distance drivers. We also took a first look at a small brand from Iowa, Goliath Discs, and we found that they had more than a few quality discs in a surprisingly large lineup for a small company. So how is this neutral mid-range and base plastic going to handle Caleb's power and torque? Well, way better than I expected. I'm willing to bet a premium plastic would have had a little bit more stability, but this base plastic did so well. It shows a subtle turn on the first shot here. And just a little more turn on the second when it's given a little more power. Our podcast, All Six Sides, continued with an episode all about our personal collection of discs, along with a detailed breakdown of which manufacturers make what for various companies around the world of disc golf.
So I feel like I'm just kind of like limited to, like the top 6-7 brands that always see around here and that I shop for and stuff like that, or around here. But
I think even if, let's say the average person and the brands that they're exposed to is just watching Disc Golf Network or Jomez. Yeah. What brands are you going to see thrown on there? There's a guy that posts like Formula One style power rankings of manufacturers after tournaments. Mm-hmm. And I was reading over one of the posts earlier today, and it's, Discraft, Discmania, Innova, MVP. Naturally, we missed one or two in there, and some partnerships have started or finished since that video was posted, so perhaps we'll have to make an updated list next year. We posted 2 additional videos in April, one all about disc design featuring Ricky Wysocki's prototype putter, the Latitude 64 Peak, and the Doomsday Cyber Putter. But now, let's talk about disc design. It's not uncommon these days to get a new disc from a company, only to find out that it's a carbon copy of another company's disc, or something close to it. There's countless examples of this across the disc golf market, but there's also discs out there like this, designs that are completely unique, unlike anything else on the market. And we also had a big Flight Numbers Don't Matter comparison of straight distance drivers. Does it mean the disc stays straight for the entire flight? Or does it mean the disc turns a little bit and fades a bit and finishes pretty much straight ahead of where it started? I would argue both could technically be true, but what matters is, of course, the shape of the fairway you're flying. On a fairway like this, you need a disc that can fly almost completely straight the entire time, and that's hard. And finally, somehow also in April, we went to our first local event of the season, one we've been to many times, the Cougar Classic at Mount Vernon Nazarene University. In May, we began by taking a peek at a new top-of-the-line glow plastic, Discraft's Mega Glow. We don't need a light meter to clearly see that this Mega Glow Buzz, Eclipse Envy, and Innova's Proto Glow Champion Mako 3 will all be very easy to find on the course. We can also see for ourselves, without a fancy lux meter, that the Discraft Mega Glow glows very nearly as bright as both of these, and actually holds that brightness longer than Innova's Proto Glow. We then posted another multi-level flight numbers don't matter test, but this time switched from Discraft to Innova, and from slightly understable discs to slightly overstable discs. And we found pretty similar results to the previous tests in April. Distance steadily increased as the speed of the discs increased, so faster discs go farther on average. Go figure. And finally, his best throw of them all, 330 feet with the Destroyer. 3 additional videos followed in May, where we checked out a pair of floaty neutral putters, the Innova Dart and Divergent Narwhal, but can still deliver excellent flights on the course. Most of their discs are named after characters or stories from Philippine folklore. The Narwhal, though, is very real, and quite an intriguing disc. Rated at 3.5, -10, the Narwhal is one of the only discs I've found that has a pretty similar shape to the Dart. We also explored hooligan discs for the first time in our first impression series, and this is a pretty simple one. No matter which way you throw it, the flip flips. And then made a follow-up to our Building the Perfect Bag video, as we built the perfect forehand bag. My forehand has almost always needed slightly more overstable discs than my backhand, probably because I played tennis in high school. I also tend to prefer shallower discs when it comes to a forehand grip. Something about them feels better, and I also prefer flatter discs. We had a pair of local events at Lakewood Middle School and then the Cap City Amateur Open, both as part of our sponsorship with our local club, the Columbus Flyers. We signed on to support the club all season long and provide amateur payouts at all their events. We closed out the month of May with a sponsored trip to one of the premier disc golf destinations in the United States, Smuggler's Notch Resort in Jeffersonville, Vermont. But all the content we recorded in Vermont didn't drop in May, it dropped in June. And boy, did we cook while we were there. We shot a behind-the-scenes vlog of the entire trip to Smugs, including some BTS of our rounds at Fox Run and Brewster Ridge. If you've ever considered a disc golf trip up to Smuggler's Notch, make sure you check out our behind-the-scenes vlog. We also shot a Q&A scoring round at Fox Run, a beautiful but deceptively hard course. We also shot some clips of the Thought Space Persona in Climo Osprey while we were there, which came out later that month. Our final video from Smugs was an interview on our podcast with Aidan Trombley, the Director of Disc Golf Operations, which sounds like the best job in the world, and based on what he had to say about it, apparently is. I mentioned your role here, Director of Disc Golf Operations. Sounds like every disc golfer's dream job. What does that look like? What does that involve? And like, is it as amazing as it sounds?
Yeah. Well, I'll kind of start by saying I was this is my first year as the director. So every day I'm learning. Thank you so much. And I can confirm it is a dream job. Yeah, pinching myself daily.
But there was a lot left to do in June. On our channel, we explored an exciting new brand from Australia, Loop Discs, and their incredible mid-range, the Wonder, which amazingly sold out across North America after our video. But first, I want to talk to Bob and Dave about what it actually took to make this disc.
Yeah, I guess I'm not shy about my mad ideas. And pretty much immediately after starting playing, I was really fascinated by the idea of manufacturing a disc. We wanted to try and make a disc, and it took about three and a half years of R&D before we actually cut metal, which is very expensive. And and we're really very happy. It was very nerve-wracking because you just don't know. If anyone's watched Jesse's content, Trash Panda, you really don't know what you're going to get, but we're glad we did the extensive R&D.
We also had a long overdue revisit of our first Flight Numbers Don't Matter video, almost exactly 2 years after the series began. A comparison of Destroyer-esque distance drivers. To do that, though, we will first need to explore the destroyers themselves. And here they are. 8 different destroyers in a variety of plastics and weights, because not all destroyers are created equal. For example, there are the Flippy destroyers. And if that wasn't enough, we had 3 different local events in June, setting up our pop-up shop for a total of 5 days at the Columbus Open, the One and Done Lobdell, and our local amateur A tier, the Brent Hambrick Memorial Open. July had a slightly less intense schedule with just 1 local tournament throwdown at the Tower in Pickerington, a suburb of Columbus. But of course the videos kept coming on our channel, and we began with a big multi-level test of the Clash Discs Soda in a collaboration with Northeast Women's Disc Golf. Huge thanks to Northeast Women's Disc Golf for collaborating with us on today's video, because instead of seeing Josh, Caleb, or myself throw these discs, we're going to see 5 levels of the Clash Disc Soda with the help of 6 new DG members. So without further ado, let's begin with level 1. Our first thrower is Laura. She competes in FA4, and from a standstill, she puts a nice move on the soda. It pushes straight briefly before it gets a smooth fade to the left. Our Flight Numbers Don't Matter series explored all things surface technologies and thumb tracks with a wide variety of discs. Surface technologies refer to anything that changes the top of the flight plate, or perhaps the bottom of the flight plate as well. Latitude 64 introduced a line of discs a few years ago with golf ball style dimples, called the Hex line. The idea was that it would create less drag and therefore fly farther. But given that they're now out of production, it's safe to say that wasn't quite what people were looking for. We compared every N of a plastic, and that leaves us with this. The 7 beasts are added to our spreadsheet, and now we can identify some trends amongst our results. Firstly, there is no question that you can generally expect Halo Star to be one of the most overstable plastics. Finally, the rest are somewhere in between. G-Star tends to hit that middle-of-the-road stability, while Star can work for most players most of the time. Though that being said, Star is by far the least consistent performer. And we also explored Disctroyer's color-coded discs. Next, the stability of the disc is indicated by the use of symbols in the center of the flight plate. A circle means straight, or a stable flight, while a star is overstable, and a plus symbol is understable. And tested out a variety of putters that all look and feel an awful lot like the Prodigy PA3. And well, tell me that's not basically the same wing shape as a PA3. Now, Discmania's P2X has so far been released in 3 different plastics: a medium and firm stiffness base blend, which is called D-Line, and a limited edition Discmania Challenge fundraiser in Glow C-Line plastic. But it turns out July was just the calm before the storm. August kicked off with live coverage of the 2025 Pro World Championships from Finland, airing the same time we were set up at our big local A-tier's professional side, the Brent Hambrick Memorial Open. We hosted Team Dynamic Discs' Parker Welk while he was in town and enjoyed hearing stories from the Pro Tour and traveling around town. We showed him our silly local landmark, the Longaberger Basket, and played a few local courses together. Parker was kind enough to agree to be in one of our videos where we put his Tour Series Truth through its paces at 6 different skill levels in another multi-level test. Representing the MPO division, with a PDGA rating of 1025 and a one-time Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series champion, ladies and gentlemen, throwing his own Tour Series disc, Dynamic Disc's own, Parker Welk. We also did a comparison of 30 understable putters on Flight Numbers Don't Matter, and all 3 of these shots were made with the same mold in 3 different plastics. It's none other than the Axiom Proxy. Tested out AGL's new discs made by Innova. Polar is their premium opaque plastic blend, while Alpine is their premium translucent, and Woodland is a grippy baseline plastic. And checked out Ricky's new thumb track approach prototype alongside the DGA Blast, the latter being one of the most impressive new discs of the year. Well, before I even throw it, I need to say again that the Blast feels incredible in the hand. It feels like the Zone, but better. The smoothed out thumb track is much more comfortable to my hand than the sharper edge on the Ringer GT top. So from the get-go, I was confident that the Blast would fly well. And so it did. Off the tee, it was very overstable. On a decent amount of anhyzer, it fought out quickly for both myself and for Josh as well. In between all of these videos, though, we were traveling all over the place. We made our first trip to Ledgestone in August, meeting tons of fans, players, and vendors, making new connections, and sweating our butts off. Jeez, it was hot. All right, we just got here, our very first time at Ledgestone. Time to set up the tent and everything here at the Fly Mart in downtown Morton. Get things rolling for day one. We had little time to dwell on the heat stroke because a week later we were in Burlington, Kentucky for the third time for the LWS Open at Idlewild. We've absolutely loved going to Idlewild. The support we feel from our most local Pro Tour events makes us excited to go again year after year. We also had a little extra fun at Idlewild because Blake Weber from the YouTube channel Let's Go Disc Golf brought some goodies for us that we'd been collaborating on together. The shapes. Back in the spring, Blake made us a prototype 6-sided disc, and we loved it so much we asked for every other 5th grade geometric shape, and he delivered the whole stack to us at Idlewild, which got some attention from a few people.
That's awesome!
All right, check this out.
What in the world? Wait, I can find this. What the heck?
That's pretty slick.
I like it.
Yeah, yep.
Hey, new logo.
Well, you've never seen something like that.
I have not seen the hexagon.
Check this out.
I keep this, right?
If you want one, I'll get you one, 100%. You ever signed a 6-sided one?
Ooh, really? No.
See what you think of this.
Feels stable.
It is stable.
That looks like if it hits you, it'll hurt.
We got all the different shapes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Hey. Oh, nice. How's it going? What the heck is this? Thank you.
It's a 6-sided disc.
What is a 6-sided?
Octagon.
Octagon.
Right on the money. Right on the money, cupcake.
Thank you. September was very much a reflection of all the things we did in August. We picked up Climo Disc's latest fairway driver, the Streak, and compared it to the Cicada and Sagara. And it almost fit perfectly between the two. So if you ever find the Sagara too beefy or the Cicada too flippy, you know what to do. Our third Pro Tour stop in 4 weeks was the first weekend in September at the Discraft Great Lakes Open. We made a slightly shorter visit as vendor space was limited, so we set up at the Fly Mart on Saturday evening, took in some action Sunday morning, watched Missy Gannon take down the win, and then headed home to recover. Psych! There was no time for recovery because we put out our 5-year anniversary special, which turned out to be the biggest video of the year on our channel. Does the shape change the flight? Armed with our 6-sided disc and 9 other shapes, we thought we were making a silly video about our hexagon disc, and didn't really expect to learn anything significant. But it turns out the shape of the wing and how it interacts with the air completely changes the flight, resulting in a wide variety of flight paths, even though the wing profile was the same on each. Because when I originally had this video idea, I thought it was just like a fun anniversary celebration, being silly. Hey, we've done this for 5 years. Wow. But now that I'm looking at these shot shapes that go up and left and right at these sharp angles, these are not shots that you can do with conventional discs. Imagine if you take your favorite disc, whatever it is in your bag, a Buzz, a Hex, a Firebird, whatever. Now imagine that that same rim feel in your hand can give you an overstable flight, a straight flight, an understable flight, just by changing the shape of the disc. That sounds pretty interesting to me. 2 more videos followed in quick succession as we explored the 3D printed PDGA approved designs from Forge Discs, who we met at Ledgestone. Might make Forge's discs a bit less comfortable in the hand, but I'm delighted to say I was wrong. The first disc to show us how wrong I was this, the Nail. Forge Discs' first approved design, the Nail is rated at 4202. and then got our hands on Discraft's new Malita to test against the Buzz. Why does Discraft need another straight midrange, or another midrange at all? After all, they have 9 other midranges, including the Swarm, Drone, Buzz OS, Wasp, Malta, Buzz, Meteor, Buzz SS, and Archer. Oh, my bad, that's only the 5-speed midranges. The Malita, rated at 5.5 -11, is a small diameter midrange, and it couldn't feel more different to the wide diameter, deeper Buzz, rated at 5.4 -11. But despite how different the design is, it still begs the question, why? We closed out September with 2 local one-day events. The first one was the first sanctioned event that I've ever hosted, at a course we visited earlier in the season, Mount Vernon Nazarene University. And then a day later, another one-day 2-round C-tier in Lancaster, Ohio for the Attack at Eagle's Nest. With fall well and truly here in Ohio, you might think our season was finally slowing down, but nope, not even close. In fact, we had 3 straight weeks of events coming in October. But before we got there, we kicked off October with a huge Flight Numbers Don't Matter video comparing the most discs we've ever tested in one video. What is the most overstable distance driver? The 6-sided disc's beefiness scale. In the culinary world, people have strong opinions about beef, specifically steak. But most people that like a really beefy flavor like to eat medium rare or rare steaks. Well, okay, it doesn't really fly at all because instead of flying, it just drops out of the sky. The Energy is definitely the most overstable disc from MVP, and very possibly one of the 3 most overstable discs we tested today. Beef tartare, no question. That beef-themed showdown was a lot of fun to make, and it was one of the most watched videos of the fall on our channel. Back in the local scene, we co-hosted the Zane State College Homecoming Classic for the 3rd time. This event is one of the best unsanctioned events we've ever been to. 2 rounds, free lunch, a huge raffle, and a huge payout at our shop makes this one of our favorite events year after year. The following weekend, we were at another local course near Columbus, Alum Creek State Park, for a charity XC tier event, the Phoenix Fund, hosted by our good friend Christy Moore. But before we made the trip down to Virginia, we dropped the first video in our new mini-series, When Flight Numbers Matter, testing and comparing 9 different 5-speed midranges from Discraft. Which takes us to the most congested set of flight numbers in Discraft's 5-speed midrange lineup with these guys. The Buzz OS, Malta, Swarm, and Drone, rated at 5403, 5413, 5304, and 5314 respectively. We followed that up with a Plastic is in the Details video all about Discmania, comparing their plastics and crucially exploring their Q-line plastic for the first time. And while Discmania, like many companies, could just claim that their Q-line is amazing and super fantastic, they decided to go a step farther. Just the other day, they dropped this ad, where they cut the flight plate out of 12-speed distance drivers from the, quote, top brands, which, after scrubbing through the video carefully, looks to be an Axiom Neutron time-lapse, an Innova Star Destroyer, one of their own S-Line DD3s. This is a Discraft Force, most likely an ESP plastic, given that all the rest of these are premium opaque blends. And what they go on to show are these numbers. Their own DD3, along with 3 other brands, have between 73.1 and 74.9% of the disc's weight in the rim. And then we get the results of the Q-Line Premier DD3, which has 77.8% of the weight in the rim, at least 3.9% more than the 3 competitors. Before the last 2 videos of October could drop, we went down to Lynchburg, Virginia for the first time for the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. We got to stay with our good friends at Turner Creek Farm and made the short commute into Lynchburg each day of the event. Once again, we had a blast connecting with fans, meeting other vendors and content creators, and watching the pros tackle some challenging courses. Back home, Emily's mom Diana, Team 6-Sided Discs Josh Alexander, and our good friends Ryan and Sarah ran our shop at the last club payout event of the season, the Lobdell Open, held at Lobdell Reserve, one of the most popular courses in Central Ohio. There was time for 2 more videos in October, one where we tested old pre-flight number discs against new discs, but just how good were PFN discs? Well, we're going to find out by testing 6 old pre-flight number discs against their modern counterparts. because the disc is in the details. And another where we explored a handful of brands that had been or still were out of business, like Lightning Discs, Wild Discs, and more. Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs. These 5 brands don't have all that much in common, but at least 3 of them do fit with the Halloween season. Because while all 3 of them have died, 2 have risen from the dead. With both long distance and local events all wrapped up for the season, we got back to doing what we do best and pumping out content. We began November with the second When Flight Numbers Matter test with 7 13-speed distance drivers from MVP and Axiom. But you might be asking yourself, especially if you didn't see that video, why we're conducting this test again with more discs all from one company in the same plastic and the same speed. Well, allow me to explain. Because flight numbers are not designed to compare discs from one brand to another. Next, we did another multi-level comparison, but this time with more than one disc, as we had 4 players tackle 4 different Innova Mambas to see just how different they are. Almost no 2 players throw exactly the same way. So how do you go about finding the disc that's right for you? Well, you watch the 4 of us throw not 1, but 4 Mambas in different plastics, all around the same weight to see how differently they fly. Because the disc and the plastic were in the details. In mid-November, we passed another crazy milestone, hitting 20,000 subscribers. And Josh and I celebrated with a scoring round at one of our local courses with all of our shapes. And 6 different hexagons. Why 6 different hexagons? No reason. All right, we're at hole 1. First thing, couple things you need to know about this course and how we're playing it is the pars here are very generous. So hole 1 is a par 4, 233 feet. Which is great because these little hexagons don't fly very far, and neither do the other shapes. Also throughout this round, to help you, the viewers that have been watching our channel for so long, get to know Josh a little bit better, I'm going to be asking him some questions that you all submitted about a week or 2 ago, so thank you so much for those. We wrapped up November with a Thanksgiving Day Flight Numbers Don't Matter test of ultralight discs featuring Daddy-Daughter Disc Golf and some of the lightest discs we've ever thrown. But before we find out how these ultralight discs work for the highest rated FJ6 player in the world, let's test them out ourselves. And we do have some specific criteria by which we're going to judge these ultralight discs today. First, I want to know how easy are these ultralight discs to throw? How far do they fly compared to heavier discs? How different is their stability to those heavier discs? And finally, how are they affected by the wind? And in December, alongside our regularly scheduled Thursday morning releases, we also posted 4 recap videos, 1 for each of our main series, where we counted down our top 6 moments from our videos in 2025. Back on our regular release schedule, we explored new brands, Third Coast Discs and Ozone Discs for the first time. Allow me to introduce the Ozone Discs, Andro C, and the Shorebreak and Swell from Third Coast Discs. And these are our first impressions. Definitively found out when flight numbers matter by wrapping up that series with a test of 6 9-speed fairways from Innova alongside 6 3-speed putters from Prodigy. And that means that after throwing 28 discs from 4 different brands at 4 randomly selected speeds, the flight numbers lined up almost perfectly when isolating other variables. This, in my opinion, is one of our most conclusive tests to date. And finally, we took a close look at Trash Panda's 5 discs in 5 days, where they put out 5 videos of 5 discs they made in a new plastic for the first time. And all of these crazy ideas could only come from one place, the home of Misfit Plastics, Trash Panda Disc Golf. Oh, and of course, yesterday on Christmas Eve, we dropped a nearly 3-hour marathon of this year's Flight Numbers Don't Matter videos for you all to enjoy during some holiday downtime. And next week, on New Year's Eve, we have a 44-minute compilation of every blooper from every video this season. That is a wild one. Taking time to reflect and look back on our season really helps to put things into perspective. And I want to start by saying thank you to each and every one of you that have watched our videos, purchased discs or merchandise from us. You make this job possible for me to do, and it is still just a complete dream come true. For Six Sided Discs, I'm Greg. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. If you like this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, or becoming a member. Your support makes this content possible.